Hello, I'm Alex Wallace. I sit on the commercial team here at Wagestream. So yes, as Hattie says, I'm going to share my screen in a minute, take you through the Wagestream app, how it works. I think the real focus today is actually looking at some of the features that perhaps aren't used or perhaps people don't know about. When we go out on site and speak to the Wagestream users, a lot of people know about some elements of it, but not others. So what I'm going to do is take some time just to go through the app and hopefully you'll learn something new. Let me share my screen or my phone. Here we go. So as you can see, this is on my my phone, the Wagestream app in the bottom left. If I click on the Wagestream app, the first thing we come to is the track screen. Now this is the most used part of the app. People check this on average 21 times a month. But what I will caveat is that different people will have different elements of the app, not only because it's a staff benefit and your employer decides what you can see, but also even within the same organisation, people are treated differently. Some people are shift workers, some people have a salary, some people have contracted hours. So if you see something different in the app, please don't be alarmed. It is different for everyone, but hopefully you'll get a picture and it'll be relatively similar to what you see. If I look at the track screen, the first thing we see at the top is when your next payday is. Obviously pretty straightforward if you have a salary and you're paid once a month, but that's not the same for everyone. Some people are paid weekly, fortnightly, lunar, every 4 weeks. So that's telling you when your next payday is going to be. Your earnings is linked into your HR system, and it can see if you're a shift worker, it might be able to see your shifts, or it breaks down your salary or your contracted hours. Now this is a new image that we put a graph on this so you can compare it to where you were last month. A lot of people really enjoying the feature to be able to see if they're front or behind. And if you do need to pick up an extra shift, that option's available to you. You can also see your full shifts. If I click on earnings, you can see your previous shifts. I'm going to gloss over the flexible pay and come back to that bit in a second. If I go down to spending, this is the next element to the tracking or the budgeting feature. A lot of people not using this, but the ones who do really love it. This is connecting your bank account through what's known as open banking technology to see what you're spending as well. So it just gives you a bird's eye view into your bank account. You can see in this example, I've spent 33 quid more than I did last month. Now I can marry that up with what I've earned and hopefully, be in the green come the end of the month. That's the idea. But it really giving you oversight of your financial position ahead of payday. I'm just going to go back to the flexible work. This is a new feature that we've launched recently. This certainly won't be available to everyone. But if I click on flexible work, this is basically the idea that some people can pick up an extra shift, a last minute shift near where you work and get paid for that immediately. So if I click on find more shifts, now actually there aren't any available shifts for me, sadly, so I won't be picking up any shifts, but if there were, you could click on that and book that shift immediately. If I go back, I'm going to scroll all the way down on the track to streams. Now I'll come to streams in a second. I won't spend too much time on it today because it's probably the best known of our features. But everything you do within the Wagestream app is always tracked. And if you have ever access to money, we record it here so you can see that. Salary, you can see what you've been paid from previous months. And finally, the build, which I'll come to in a minute. This is really a rainy day fund, which is a very popular tool, helping people put aside a little bit of money each month for a rainy day or a kid's birthday or Christmas or whatever it might be. What I will touch on quickly is the stream. Now I'm hoping that most people might know about this already, but the stream is really the ability to access some of your earned wages at any point during the month. Now I would move the bar across, I'd click transfer, and within a couple of seconds that money's in my bank account. This is your money, this is money you've already earned. Now you will see there is a flat fee, there is a fee to pay, so just to be aware of that. But this is really designed to give people flexibility over their own money should they need it. On the bottom there, the next row across is Hub. Now I want to really walk through some of these other features that are perhaps not as well known about the Wagestream app. If I give a quick overview to each of these, and then I'll go into a bit more detail. But build, I'll come to is really the rainy day fund. I'll show you that in more depth in a second. The stream we've touched on is that flexible pay or earned wage access, as it's sometimes known. Enhanced sick pay is giving the ability to get to access a better basically an insurance product so you can protect yourself if you are ever sick. Coaching is the ability to speak to a trained financial coach about your own current financial situation. The flexible work is the bit I've already touched on about picking up those extra shifts. Vouchers is discounts with high street retailers. There's a broadband switcher, and there's a mobile phone insurance. Sending money abroad is remittances or international payments. If you have family or friends abroad, sending money home far quicker and cheaper than other options available. There's a financial health score, basically like a quiz to take, and you get a score out of 40. We'll hope to see people's financial health improve over the course of their lifetime using the Wagestream app. Bank transactions is linking that bank account that I previously mentioned, and you can set reminders. Basically, stop going into that overdraft. Your overdraft, unarranged overdrafts are now, I think, £8 a day. You want to avoid that really at all costs. So, setting reminders, and then we also have some other sort of learning and resources which are really debt advice and a benefits checker, and we have lots of other articles and webinars like this, so we can give people as much financial support as possible. Anyway, that was the quick overview. I'm just going to spend a minute on each of these, just going into a little bit more detail of how it actually works and how people might engage with the app. So if I click on build in the top left, as I say, this is a rainy day fund, helping people put a little bit of money aside each paycheck for whatever reason you choose. If I click on the toggle or the settings button in the top right, this is how it works. You would choose it might be let's call it a rainy day fund in this example. You know what? Let's actually make it a holiday. Why not? You choose a goal. £500 I want to save for a holiday, and we can auto save, or we can choose to set aside an exact amount each month. So let's say we'll move that to £40 a month, and on payday, that's going to take £40 out of my earnings and straight into this savings account. And you can access that savings at any time. I mean, it's completely free. It takes a couple of seconds. But you know what? We want to try and get you up to that savings goal of £500, which you can see in this example, I'm going to reach it by July 2024. So that's going to take me almost a year if I save £40 a month. There are a couple of other ways that we encourage and help and reward people to get into these, what really is the right financial habits. Building the pennies. If you're a shift worker and you're earning, let's say £100 and 20 pence for a shift, that 20 pence are a relatively menial sum of money, but we'd save that 20 pence and that would automatically go into this account. And that, it's amazing how quickly that does totter up. Stream and build. You remember there was that flat fee that if you do access money during the pay cycle, you're paying a flat fee. So, why don't you save a little bit of money at the same time? So you can stream and also add some money to your build pot. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, some people will have different. The app is slightly different depending on your employer, and the savings or the rainy day funds, as we call them, is one of those features. In some organisations, particularly in the NHS, there's a 5% return on those savings, but normally we have a premium bond style reward where we'll double 1 in 1,000 person savings up to £25 each month, just to encourage people to a fun way to reward people. But you can, if you don't want to be in that prize draw, you can remove yourself. That's really for in some religions, interest or return on your money is not Sharia compliant ultimately. So I'm going to leave the build section. I've mentioned the stream. The enhanced sick pay is, if I click on that, this is a new feature. Now, we did some research recently, and over 80% of frontline workers work through illness as they can't afford to take the time off. Now, that is not a great situation for people to be in. So we want to help people protect that downside. And if something does happen to you, you're not going to lose your income. So you can protect against that. Now, this again will depend on your employer. For example, NHS staff have brilliant sick pay cover, but in the private sector, it's not as good. So this will depend on your own situation. But if I scroll down, You can choose a plan, and I won't go through all this in too much detail now, but you can choose a plan. We give you 3 options. So if I click at the bottom, choose a plan, I'm just going to quickly tick all these boxes just to check I'm over 18 and I've read the T's and C's, but this will give me 3 prices that I can pay, anything from £1.49 a month up to £4.26 a month. And that will cover me if I do go on sick, particularly long-term sick. That can be an incredibly powerful way to get paid up to 75% of my earnings. So that's something we've launched recently. It won't be available to everyone, but this is a huge benefit to people who perhaps don't have you know, the sick pay package that perhaps they'd like. I'm going to scroll down now to the what we call the everyday savings. I mean, ultimately, the focus of Wagestream and our core goal is to help you save money on your essentials. Now, different ways we do that: vouchers, broadband, mobile insurance, and sending money abroad are 4 good examples. I'll just show you how these work. If I click on the vouchers, we've partnered with lots of great high street retailers to get discounts. So really, this gives you the option to get money off, whether it's your weekly shop. It could be, look, I'll just scroll through so you can see some of these for yourself. You know, if you're National Express there, you're doing a lot of travel on the bus, you know, getting 15% off is well worth doing. I'll just use the example of Asda. Let's say you do your weekly shop at Asda. How this might work is, firstly, you could buy a voucher. You might buy a £100 voucher. If I click on £100 and I press continue, I have 2 options here. I could either pay the transfer fee, which is £1, either pay the transfer fee, or I can not pay that but get it on payday. So those are the two options that people have. Now this will depend on on your own situation of how you'd like to use this. You can also, and this is a little cheat, is wait till you get to the counter with your shopping, see what the price is. Let's say it's a big weekly shop and you're spending £110. Put in the £110, get the discount there and then, and as long as you're saving, you can see if you're going to save more, and then you can use that voucher live having just bought it at the counter. Those are the vouchers. There's a broadband switcher. If I click on that, I'll click continue here. Again, these are everyday items that I think most people are paying for broadband. If I click on this, it's going to basically compare and get me a better deal on my broadband. No harm in checking. We would always encourage people to have a look, see what the best price you can get is. I'll go back to the hub. Mobile insurance. Again, the mobile insurance is one of the most expensive, well, certainly our mobiles are one of the most expensive things that we own. This is clever technology. It can see exactly what phone I'm using. In this example, you can see on the screen there, it says iPhone 12. That's correct. I've got an iPhone 12 here. And it's giving me a cost of what it would, how much would it be to replace a smash screen or the case on this. And this is expensive, a £480 bill out the middle of nowhere. If I drop this phone, that could hurt for a long time to come. So and a lot of people do insure their phone already. But I have 2 options here. One is set up the build pot, helping basically put money aside if that does happen. If I do break my phone, I've got that money in that build account. The other thing we do is you can insure the phone through the, I'm not going to go through it now, but through the app, we can give you a price, and this is almost guaranteed to be, this will be far cheaper than the likes of Apple Care. And the reason that is because every or nearly all these insurance products, the big cost to them is the acquisition cost. It's the cost to do the television advert or wherever you've seen about that insurance, whether it's Facebook, Google, however you're seeing that advert, that's expensive. Even to get the top of that Google search is costing that business money, and that acquisition cost then ultimately gets added to why your premium is expensive. But we don't make any. This is just here really for if you need it. We're not going to push this product, so we can remove that cost entirely. So this is often half the price. So if you are insuring your phone currently, do have a look or compare your the current price you're paying. Sending money abroad. If I click on that, we've partnered with a company called Wise. They were formerly known as TransferWise. These are great rates to basically help people who have family or friends abroad send money home far quicker and cheaper than other options available to them. We were speaking to a lot of our members who have family abroad, and they were spending huge amounts of money through various means to get money back to their family and friends. Now we partner with Wise, so you don't have to do that. This will be far cheaper than other options available. A couple more things to go through, then it'd be great to take some questions, and do feel free to fire those away in the Q&A and in the chat. Working my way down as my money matters section, the financial health score. This is really a quiz. It gives you an idea. There are 40 questions, gives you a score out of 40 afterwards. I won't go through them all now, but this really gets you into a situation where you can understand about your financial position and how you can help improve that. So it's a great way it's a fun and quick way to learn about how to improve your money management skills. Banking transactions I've talked about. If I click on that, you can connect your bank account and really compare where you were against last month, and hopefully, we want to see people's financial position improving over time. The learning and resources section, we've partnered with lots of other charities to help support people. The debt advice is here for people that are perhaps already in financial hardship. Some of these tools are brilliant in terms of avoiding going into debt, but if someone already is in a tricky situation, we would recommend speaking to an expert. If I click on debt advice, we've partnered with the charity Step Change. They're the leading debt charity in the country. If you are worried about your financial position, please do reach out to them. They are a brilliant charity. They're doing amazing work. I'd love to say this hasn't been used over the course of the last couple of years, but sadly it has. We know what's going on in society as a whole with inflation and the cost of living. So don't be afraid to speak to these guys. It's all completely anonymous. And I'm going to touch base in a second on the financial coaches that I glossed over in a minute ago that we also offer. But please do feel free to reach out. It's all completely free. It's anonymous. Your employer would never know, but it really gives you. It's designed to give people the peace of mind and get that support should they need it. The benefits checker. If I click on that, there are billions of pounds. 19 billion pounds went unclaimed in state benefits last year, and the majority of which is from people that are working full time, the likes of you and me, who think, well, I'm working, I'm not eligible to any benefits, any state support. But we are seeing, on average, the person that checks is eligible to over 500 quid. It's well worth checking. There are lots of people who are finding, basically like finding money down the back of the couch. It is a brilliant tool. It's completely free to check. It takes 4 clicks. It's 4 questions, and please do have a look to see if you're entitled to any additional support. And finally, in the learning and resources is the articles. And there are lots of great articles. If whatever your financial situation, please do have a look through these. It's not a one size fits all, your financial health. Everyone is in a different situation, but there should be something here for everyone. Understanding your payslip, I can see here, things we take for granted. How is your tax actually getting calculated? What is national insurance? We all just sort of, take it and we accept it, but actually, why don't we learn about it and see how we can improve our, financial knowledge? The other thing to mention, please do ask any questions today, but if you are ever stuck in the Wagestream app, we have 24/7 support, so please do ask any questions through the help feature. You can, we have a trained team here who are designed to answer those questions, and so please do feel free to use that feature. And at the bottom, you can see the extras. Now this again will be very different for different organizations, but I've used a couple of examples here where you can connect maybe some other benefits or some other apps you might use in your workplace, whether you might book shifts through a different app, or there might be another staff benefit that you want to click through, and we can basically link the two together so they're in one place. So please do also reach out to your HR team if you think that would be useful, so you can check across. One thing that I've realized I glossed over there is in the top right here, and some people will have access to a financial coach. If I click on coach, we have a team of financial coaches. These are trained human beings who sit in the office here, and they're here designed to help with your personal situation. Now, I've mentioned the articles, and that's just that they're great articles written by other charities to help support people, but they're generic. They're not designed for you personally. But if you are going through something unique, perhaps you haven't done it before in your financial life, then please do chat to one of our financial coaches. They're designed to help. They're well trained, and it's again completely anonymous. So please do use that feature if that's an option to you. I'm conscious that I've been talking for a long time there, Hattie. Hopefully that I haven't missed anything. I haven't looked at any questions, so I don't know if I should. Maybe I'll stop sharing my screen. But hopefully that made sense to people, and we can go through some of these questions now.
Amazing. No, thank you, Alex. That was really, really interesting and really useful. I hope that everyone's sort of learned about a feature they might not have known about, or learned something different about one of those features. And hopefully you'll take something away today that you can go and use in the app. But yes, I will jump to the questions, because I know we had a whole bunch come in before the webinar and we've got lots on the chat. So I'll sort of jump between the two and try and cover a few questions at once, just because I'm conscious we've got a few minutes left. So if you have a burning question afterwards, like Alex says, use the contacting our support in the app if you've got sort of specific questions about your account and stuff that you need answering. We'll sort of try and do the generic questions. So we've had a few questions about the flexible pay, Alex, and I will just ask you in a second, because it'd be great for you to cover it. But so everyone knows, we did do another webinar that was all about flexible pay and went into loads of detail. So flexible pay is streaming. So when I send you an email with this recording, I'll put that in as well. But for now, Alex, can you just confirm for everyone sort of where they can see the flat fee for accessing Stream, what kind of generally what you have to pay for in the app, and whether that fee changes?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. But the crystal thing about Wagestream is there is a flat fee to access your earned wages at any point during the month. Now, we do have some employers that actually pick up that fee on behalf of their employees, but that's very, very rare. That flat fee has remained the same. It's £1. Well, it's usually £1.75. But like everything at the moment, that's been the same for the last 5 years. However, that will change at some point in the future. At what stage, I couldn't tell you. But at the moment, there's a flat fee of £1.75, which is paid on payday, basically taken out of your paycheck. Yeah, when you receive your money on payday.
Cool. Thanks, Alex. That's great. And then I'm going to jump to Build, because we've had a few different questions about Build sort of on and off the webinar today. Can you just talk about sort of, is it safe to use? You know, people probably have other savings accounts. Can you sort of talk about the comparison between Build and that?
Yeah, so Build it's really a rainy day fund, a quick and easy way. It's designed to be very quick and easy. Obviously, there's no secret. You can go and set up a savings account in your local bank branch, you know, with Barclays or whoever you bank with. The problem is, we found that a lot of people weren't doing that, and that's probably because of the admin and the time. It's really a couple of clicks to set up the account. But on the flip side of that, this is usually for smaller amounts. You know, the average people are saving is £15 a month. Not a huge amount of money, if I'm being honest, but it's the sort of money that people don't realise they're missing. And then suddenly 3, 6, 9 months down the line, you've got that safety net there. And that's really what it's designed to do. Give everyone a little bit of a safety buffer, so they never have to, you know, turn to credit or overdrafts and that sort of thing. We want everyone to get into the habit of saving. Over a third of people who do save, don't have anything in savings, but of course the other 2/3 do. It's a very similar concept. You know, this is fully protected. You can access this for free at any time. You know, it's within 4 seconds that money's in your current account. So it's basically just like another savings account. But the key difference here is this is saved before it hits your bank account. And psychologically, that's very different for people. Once you've received your pay on payday and then the money leaves, that feels slightly different to actually you never saw that money. It's just getting diverted into a separate account. So it's very similar, but it's psychologically a bit different. We'd encourage people to do both if they can. I think that's the long-winded answer.
That's super useful. Thanks, Alex. We'll just try and run through as many others as we can in the time. Really good question here. What information can people's employers see?
That's a very good question. The important thing to note, because we're dealing with very sensitive data, your financial data, employers can see very little. Equally, the employers that can, and it's usually payroll who can see, basically have to have oversight of the system. They're the only ones, and it's usually very few of them, so they can't not. It's a subsection, usually 2 or 3 within a large employer have access and oversight how the benefits gets used. Now they can see some things, but not everything. They can see if you've signed up, but they can't see if you've talked to a coach, or they can't see if you've saved. They can see overall the big picture. They can see that money's getting, the app's getting used, and they use that for reporting reasons. But importantly, they can't delve into your personal situation. They certainly can't see if you've spoken to one of our coaches or spoken to Step Change or one of the other features. They're just going to get an overarching anonymized picture of how the benefit gets used.
That's a great answer, Alex. Thank you. And then another interesting question, which has come up in the chat, is someone said they've signed up. Do they get paid automatically at the end of the month, or do they have to stream all their money every month?
Sorry, say that again.
If someone signed up for the app for the first time and they want to know, do they still get paid as they would normally at the end of the month, or do they have to stream something?
Yeah, good question. And I should have covered that, but no, nothing will change. You'll sign up to Wagestream, and if you don't use the app, nothing's going to change. You'll still get paid in full as normal, as if you haven't signed up to Wagestream. So there's no changes. The only change will take place is if you do access some money, or you put money aside into the savings pot. Now, let's say you did access £100 to fix the washing machine or whatever it might be. We'll pay that £100, so you get that £100 immediately through the app as long as you've earned it. It's not a loan, it's only money we know has been worked or earned. There's also only a percentage, and that percentage is controlled and capped by your employer. They set the limits. But if you have earned that money, you can access it immediately. It takes a couple of seconds, it's in your current account, and then on payday, you're going to receive £100 less, plus that £1.75 fee. So there's no changes, you don't have to do anything. You'll just receive that money on payday.
Amazing. Thanks, Alex. I think we have time for 1, maybe 2 more. So I'll just kind of pick the most popular ones that are coming up. So can you just quickly answer? You mentioned a couple of different insurance. You mentioned mobile insurance and sick pay insurance. How are those rates better than what people might be finding elsewhere? I know you touched on it, but if you could go into a bit more detail.
Yeah, so it's ultimately down to we can offer it far cheaper than other insurers, because we don't go out and sell it to people. It's in the app, and it's free if you need to use it. We don't make any money on it. It's just there if you need it. Whereas other insurers, that's their sole product, and ultimately they need to make a return. They need to make profit. Whereas that's not how Wagestream was founded. We're what we call purpose over profit, owned by various charities that help found Wagestream, and still run by those charities today. And we have an impact board that is designed to guide the sort of principles to Wagestream, and that's ultimately allows us to do it at a cost price, and really that acquisition cost that I mentioned mentioned earlier, that we're not paying any money to acquire people. It's there if you need it.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex. I'm going to just try and sneak in one more. If you need to leave, totally understand. You'll receive the recording afterwards by email, so don't worry. Can you really quickly, Alex, please just cover, obviously you've got a lot of people who work for the NHS, how maybe the app looks a little bit different for people in the NHS, any sort of key differences you can note?
Yeah, I can see. I've just seen some of the questions, and I can see an NHS question there. Ultimately, the principle is it's exactly the same. You get very similar features. However, we can go into a bit more detail. It's connected to ESR, what's known as the electronic staff record, and also the roster. Now people can track their shifts, and also people can choose where they're accessing money from, which is really the difference. So you can choose whether it's your bank shifts, your overtime shifts, or your substantive, which is basically your full-time shifts for those who don't work in the NHS. but ultimately it's the same principle. We're allowing people to track what they earn, to access some of their pay if they need to flexibly, put money aside on payday, and then some of the other features. So it's really the same thing, but you get a couple of extra features, sort of breaking down how you're actually earning that money if you work in the NHS.